Hey ladies and gents, Ben Pakulski coming at you from the Mi40 gym in Tampa. Today is everything you need to know about frequency. How often, how much volume should be doing, and depending on which body parts, those things are variable. So just to give you some general rules and a little bit of a general overview, the bigger the body part, the less frequency you need, typically, because when you're contracting so much muscle, it takes a lot longer to recover. Smaller body parts, less overall muscle fibers, tend to recover a little bit faster. They also tend to be less fatiguing to your nervous system. Like if I'm doing a huge quad workout, it tends to be really exhausting systemically, whereas I'm doing an arm workout, it's a lot less strenuously systemically. That's consideration number one. So things like arms can really be trained almost every other day. So depending how much volume you're doing, you could probably, some people train arms every single day. It would just have to be with diminishing volume. So if you're doing it every day, it would have to be 6 to 8 sets. If you're doing it every other day, it could be 10 to 12 sets. If you're doing it every third day, it could be 14 to 16 sets. So depending how much time between those workouts is going to determine how much volume you're actually doing. So how much do I suggest doing? I suggest fluctuating it and writing it out over 6-week blocks. Some people write over 4-week, 6-week, 8-week blocks. I like to write it over 6-week or 40-day blocks, which is obviously why I decided to base the Mi40 business around 40-day programs. 40-day blocks gives you an opportunity to progress up in volume, progress down in volume, and then finish with an even higher peak. So what I'm usually looking for is, I'll start with maybe every 3 days, every 4 days with arms, and then I'll go decrease the amount of time between workouts, so that in the middle of this 6-week block, I'm doing it every day, every other day, and then I'll come back down. And depending how you're responding, you could even go back up. If you feel like, okay, I've adapted, I've responded, I want to go back up and increase the amount of frequency again, that's sometimes a good idea as well. So you have to base it on your recoverability. How well am I recovering? And also something that's going to be a little more personal as far as what's my ability to actually maintain contraction, my ability to maintain load. Because if you find you're coming in the gym and you're seeing a substantial drop off in your performance, you've probably come back in a little bit too quickly, or your nutrition is not on point, right? So when you're training with really high frequency, what you're taking intra-workout, what you're taking post-workout, the necessity and the importance goes way up. So if I know I'm going to be training this body part again 24 hours later, man, you better be hammering some intra-workout carbs. You better be hammering some Vitargo, some BCA Express, things like that from Cytec. If you know you're not going to be training it for 72 hours or longer, the importance of that intra and post-workout is substantially diminished. So be considerate of that, and always gauge, well, how's my recovery? And if you feel like you're not recovered, take another day. So even though maybe you're set to come in here and do 24-hour arms every 24 hours, if you feel like they're a little depleted or they actually look like they're getting smaller, that's probably a good indication that your glycogen stores are low, your water stores are low, and you may not be ready to do it again. So fluctuating these things intelligently and planning it over 6 weeks is really, really important. Don't just come in and wing it. You want to actually graduate your volume, or change your volume and your frequency based on a logical sequential progression. It's not just, I feel good, I want to do more. If you want to get the greatest progress, especially for weak body parts, you got to write things down. And I'm just as guilty as this as most people. Some days you come in, you feel great, I'm going to do way more. And that's probably my Achilles heel, is I'll come in, I'm scheduled to do 12 sets for back, and I'll do 40. Because I feel so good today, I want to do more. And then I'll compensate by taking in, more intra-workout carbs, more post-workout carbs. As far as frequency goes for larger body parts, like I said, the minimum between large body parts is going to be 48 hours minimum. And what I usually will recommend is fluctuating intensity of those workouts. So one workout, let's say Monday, can be really low volume, high intensity, meaning low volume, heavy weights. The Wednesday workout can be higher volume, low intensity, and then go back on Friday and again change those parameters. So you got to remember all those workout parameters you could potentially be changing, right? You could be changing intensity, you could be changing volume, you could be changing density, which is the amount of time between sets. You could be changing the amount of time under tension. There's a lot of variables you can change, and you should be considerate of all those and see how you're recovering from them. So as far as how often to train a body part, this is one question I get all the time. For any body part, the answer is as often as you can recover from. So if your recovery is great, and you're eating really well, and you don't get sore, train it again. And another thing, now that I mentioned soreness is not always the best indication of recovery. So I would suggest thinking about how the muscle feels, how it contracts. If you lose the ability to contract, if it's a diminished ability to contract, meaning you're weaker, that's a good indication that maybe you're not prepared to train again. But soreness, I'll tell you what, I made my best progress in leg training when I trained every Tuesday and Friday religiously. And on Fridays, I remember clear as day having to physically lift my leg into the leg press to be able to do the leg press because I was so sore I couldn't lift it. But I made the best progress of my life. I put 4 inches on in 4 months because I was just go. I was killing it. And my nutrition was on point, but my body just wasn't ready for those workouts every 3 days. By the end of my 6 week block, I was ready to go. By Thursday afternoon, I was ready to go again on leg days. But when I started, that 3 day break wasn't enough. Maybe it would have been intelligent of me back then to do a 4 day split and then bring it down to 3 days, so allowed my body to adapt to the recoverability. But I didn't know enough back then, and now I do. So to teach you guys about this stuff, small body parts more often, large body parts less often, and pay huge attention to your recoverability, extra sleep, extra things like glutamine, BCAAs around the workout. Glutamine is typically held pre and intra, BCAAs and leucine post-workout. I would stay away from stimulants as much as possible. The more often you're training, the more your nervous system is going to be stressed and trashed. So the more stimulants you're taking, the more you're actually adding to the stress of the nervous system, the adrenal glands. So if you're training more often, as much as you may feel like you need it, I would try to stay away from stimulants and maybe use things like carnitine as more of a pre-workout focus factor. So that's it for now. That's how you progress your frequency. If you guys have any questions at all, visit me on Facebook, Instagram, or the Mi40 Nation site, where now you can sign up for free, get access to all of our videos, and tons of amazing free articles and content. So check it out, mi40nation.com. That's Ben Pakulski, out.